I think I need a slightly more clear camera. Greetings, Curtis. With my tech test, and making sure I've got everything all set up. How's the sound? What kind of volume do you have to have your computer up at just to hear it? Yeah, I'm going over. So I've got fiber internet, but unfortunately, I'm having to use a wireless connection to get to it because I'm in a different space other than where the actual modem is. And so I'm only getting about 260 megs upload. Um, Gotcha with the maxed out volume. I understand that. Yeah, I would assume that the FPS will kind of level out a little bit. My plan is, and I've got a wall right here. My plan is to actually drill a hole straight through this wall and put a Cat 6 cable going from this computer to my modem so that I've got a direct connect to it. Uh, I just don't have my Cat 6 cable in yet. I'm still waiting for that to show up from Amazon. What kind of delay are we seeing, like from my vocals to how my mouth is moving here? What kind of delay do you see here, or is there a delay? Oh, good, cool. So let's chat some games, guys. What is the game of choice right now? Obviously, I do like D&D, but I have a wide variety of other games as well. Got Mort board here, Into the Odd. I've even got a cool Dungeon Meister for mixed drinks. But what's y'all's game of choice? Pathfinder First Edition, yeah. Baldur's Gate 3 on the other monitor. And that's one thing I need to get set up as a second monitor on this as well. I've got two on my main computer, but this one has just got one monitor on it, unfortunately. I recently went back and started checking out the Ultima series. I downloaded those from GOG, all of them, and currently I'm on Ultima 4, the Quest of the Avatar. Some old school stuff there. And I'm trying to figure out, like, my son right now, he's got the big game on the PlayStation. He's into, of course, is Call of Duty. Um, he just finished up the new Spider-Man 2 game, and I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, that was a technical mishap. I'm trying to figure out what the next really cool PlayStation game is going to be. Because that's another thing that I'd really like to start delving into on this channel is I want to branch out a little bit in 2024 and kind of get a little bit more into video game play. And I don't want to switch it up too much because, I ultimately, this is all about role playing games. But I know that there are viewers out there, gamers out there, that really like to play video games as well. And I don't want to cover every single game out there, video game wise. But there are a few core games like when Elden Ring came out, I got big into that. Stray, where you play as a cat, I got huge into that as well. So little games like that, I want to be able to feature not necessarily reviews and not necessarily walkthroughs, but just some fun little quips and commentary on those games. But I don't know enough about video games today to know what should be on my radar, for PlayStation 5 in 2024? Or should it be a completely different console altogether? I mean, I've never been a big fan of Xbox. Not for any one specific reason. It's just I've just always had PlayStation. Yeah, the old SSI D&D computer games, Might and Magic. Might and Magic is played the hell out of those. And you'll have to forgive me if I cough every now and again. I've got a pretty bad case of bronchitis right now. God, I'd love to go back and get some of those old SSI games, the like Curse of the Azure Bonds. Me and a buddy of mine back in high school, we played the tar out of those games. Yeah, and that's where GOG is where I got all of my Ultima games. Yeah, and Prive Ryan, I just mentioned a few minutes ago, I actually downloaded all of the Ultima games. So I've got Ultima 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What is the other one? Blackgate, I think it was. Underground or under. Man, it's been so long. Downloaded them earlier this year, but I don't remember what that other one was. It was the underground version of Ultima. The fourth game, there's a glitch. So there was a crystal sword that you could find in Ultima 4, and there was only ever one in the game. You used it and it shattered, but it would kill one of the Shadow Lords. So you could use it to make a hasty retreat. Well, we found a hex editor, me and a friend of mine, and we were able to go through and edit it so that we had 99 of everything. I haven't found a hex editor for the new, for the PC version now, but this was back on the Commodore 64 when we first started playing it. And yeah, I admit we did some heavy cheating at that. We hex edited all of our stats to 99, all of our items to 99, gave ourselves max gold. It was, it was fun. I mean, we had already solved the game, beaten the game, and in doing that, you could actually go in. So I think the final portion of that game, you have a box, the sandalwood box, and you take it into the king. Only we killed the king. We killed Lord British, and we weren't ever able to solve the game after doing that. Of course, we had already solved the game the first time around, but this was the second go around. I've always loved being able to go in and hack games, video games. Just, I don't know. I will play through it first and beat the game legitimately. But then after that, I want to go through and experience like, well, I'll take Stray, for example. And there's a great video on YouTube where you can find it. But Stray, again, where you're playing as a cat, the game is so detailed. And all of the textures and buildings, just amazing artwork, amazing sound effects, amazing soundtrack. But there were doors that you couldn't get through. They were either a static part of the wall itself, or it was a cut part of the game, just a huge swath of the game where they just didn't have time to finish it. So they cut it and just made the door completely sealed. Well, there was a hack that a guy did where he downloaded the whole thing and was able to do a pass wall and get to the other side of all those walls. And there are so many areas in that game that were unfinished, but you can explore, or he could explore it. And it was just, that's the kind of stuff that I love checking out after I've already completed the game. Because I want to know, like, these programmers, they put so much work and energy into these games that I want to know all of it. I want to know the secrets, I want to know the hidden areas. Bethesda games, they're notorious for doing stuff like that. Skyrim, there's a part where you can, I don't know, I think it's if you take a shield, you move up against a wall or a door right at the door frame, and you kind of jump a little bit, you fall through onto a massive chest, or not a massive chest, it's a regular sized chest, but inside is just a massive amount of awesome loot. Same thing with what's their newest game that just came out? Um, Come on, guys, help me out here. The space game, space whatever it is, where you can go up to a puddle, crouch down, and kind of Starfield. Thank you, Starfield, where you can crouch down and kind of do a glitch and loot some of the vendors. It's just goofy stuff, but I don't know. I find it fun. That's it. And Windhelm, yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. Um, just fun stuff to find, and there's a lot of different games out there. And one, you got to ask yourself, is that stuff in there on purpose? Because think about it. Why would they leave it in there unless they wanted you to find it? And I wonder if that's a part of their secondary marketing. They push the game, right? Push the game out, and then some crazy YouTuber finds this glitch, and now all of a sudden it kind of gets a second wave of sales because everybody else wants to go check it out. Makes me wonder if they do that kind of stuff on purpose. It's new to you. Yeah, I mean, it's Bethesda Games is one of the biggest ones. um Fallout 76. So the computer that I've got all of this set up on, it's an older computer, but it had Fallout 76 installed on it. I don't know of any exploits that were on that one. I played that one when it first came out, 2017, 2018. Played it for a good 6-8 months before I just kind of lost interest in it. But that was before they even added NPCs that you could interact with. And of course, it's a completely different game now than it was, back when I first got it. But I don't remember any major exploits in that. I just had fun playing it. Could be, yeah, it could be that they did put it in there with the intent of scrapping it and just walled it off instead. I agree. Rewriting that code, because if they delete, so there was a game that I did a lot of graphics for, long time ago, called Kingdom of Drakkar, and the NPCs in that all ran off of what they called brain files. And in those brain files, it would reference other NPCs. So like if you had a fetch quest, for example, you needed to go from the town of Nork to over to Volcano Town, for example. You had to take a specific item from point A to point B. Well, there was not that it was a shared brain, but there was a shared database. And if you deleted one area or one brain, then that would throw that particular connection completely off. So I wonder if it's also something like that. Like if those hidden areas, like for example in Skyrim with the chest, I wonder if there's something about that chest that shares a brain with another element of the game somewhere out there, that if they delete that out, it kills that other element. Yep, code is all interconnected. Yeah, mess with one bit likely affect a bunch of other bits, so you try not to mess with it too much. Yeah. I can certainly see that. I mean, I don't my my extent of code. I know HTML. I know very little about I remember very little about the Kingdom of Drakkar coding, mainly because I had to be a little bit aware of it for doing the graphics for it. How the animation worked, and it's actually still going today. It's still online today. A lot of fun. I mean, it's an older game, very much in the style of like the Ultima 4 graphics, but it was one of the world's first online video games. Really kind of fun. Yeah, I didn't do all of the artwork, but most of the artwork in the game, most of the terrain. Terrain is mostly what I did in that game. So the grass, the clouds. Uh, there's a land called Cabron. There's the Nameless Lands. I did a couple of animated dragons in it. a couple of small items and weapons, but mostly it was all the terrain, the trees, the snow, lava, that kind of stuff. 8-bit graphics. Went to 16-bit, 64-bit. I don't remember. That was a long time ago. That was in the 90s when I was doing that. Late 90s, early 2000s. So I think I kind of parted ways probably around 2015 or so. But a lot of fond memories with that game. Oblivion. I didn't really play Oblivion too much. My son got into it, and I've been trying to get him involved in this channel too, but he's 15, kind of wants to do his own thing. And then what is TES6? What is that? I'm not familiar with that. Oh, Elder Scrolls. Okay. Elder Scrolls 6. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm pretty sure when that comes out, that'll be one that he wants. He got big into the Skyrim games. Was even asking me, and of course, that's his thing, is he really likes to play console stuff, not so much the PC type games. World of Warcraft, I was big into pretty much from day one. I went from EverQuest to EverQuest 2 to World of Warcraft, and so PC games. Well, aside from role playing games, PC games were my second big love. I started off with PC games, Zork, Blue Max, or some of the original ones that I played on the Commodore 64. Blue Max was I wouldn't go so far as to say a flight simulator, but you were a plane and you had to do bombing runs. Bombing runs and avoid being shot down by other planes. And then when you would land, you had to cross your fingers while you fueled up and hope that the enemy didn't bomb you while you were sitting there getting fuel. Very simple game, but a lot of fun to play. That was, I don't know, that was my youth playing. And then, of course, the Ultimate Games, Bard's Tale. A lot of fun playing Bard's Tale, Might and Magic, Heroes of Might and Magic, Temple of Apshai. Gosh, all kinds of fun video games. And then, of course, once the online stuff came in, Diablo, the original Diablo, we played a hell of a lot of Diablo. Warcraft, the original Warcraft 1, 2, 3, and then World of Warcraft, Quake, Unreal, all that stuff. I remember in high school, a friend of mine, Amit Parag, got on his computer Doom. Man, we were at a party at his house. Guys, I got this. You got to check it out. Put it in, and we were just instantly obsessed with Doom. It was, of course, built off of the ID Software's. Oh man, my mind is just blanked out. Wolfenstein, Castle Wolfenstein model, but Doom was just amped up. It was taken up to the next level. So much fun playing that game. And then, once in high school, I was at a friend's house. His older brother introduced me to D&D. He was a dungeon master, ran the game. And my first time ever playing, we probably spent, I don't know, an hour rolling up characters. A thief. That's what my first character, my very first D&D character was. Going through, we played for about 30 minutes, and I'm in a dungeon, or the whole party's in a dungeon. I go up to a chest, so I want to open it. He has me roll. You're dead. What? Yeah, you died. He took my character sheet, ripped it in half. And I said, well, why, what killed me? You don't know, you're dead. You know, and when that happened, I just instantly fell in love with Dungeons and Dragons. This was in the era of D&D, advanced D&D. And from that point forward, I sought out every book I could find, every module I could find, and eh, I haven't looked back. The memories that I created with my friends in preschool, in pre high school, seventh, eighth, ninth grade, right? Um, what is that called? Junior high, and then high school is 10th, 11th, and 12th. Anyway, on through that, through high school, um, and into my first little bits of college, D&D was so many memories created there, and that's one of the big reasons why this channel focuses so heavy on Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, guys, I've been playing it for 30 years. You know, it's I get comments occasionally, oh, D&D sucks. You know, you need to go in and play Pathfinder. Oh yeah, that's fine. I have nothing against Pathfinder, but Pathfinder is within itself is its own complex system. Not that it's overly complex, but at this point in my life, I need simplicity. My brain is so mushed full of D&D mechanics, and then I get stuff like Mortborg. That's a simple game to check to figure out and check out. You know, it's one book. Rules are very light, and it focuses more heavily on the role playing. Whereas with Pathfinder, you've got to get how many. Actually, what was it? Priv Ryan, I think you were the one that said that you were doing Pathfinder 1. How many books do you effectively need to have with Pathfinder, either the first edition or second edition, in order to effectively run that game? Oh, Neverwinter Nights. I played a lot of that as well. Oh, okay. And let me scan back up. Somebody in here had said that they were. It may have been T and Tori. They were playing Pathfinder. Curtis. It was Curtis. Curtis Thompson. Curtis Thompson. If you're still in here, I don't know how many books you actually need to play Pathfinder, but that's the other element to it too. Is I don't have a whole lot of money, and excuse me again. I don't have a budget to go out and just purchase a whole bunch of extra books to learn a new system completely. Minimal effectiveness for Pathfinder 1E is 2 books, the core and the first monster book. Just don't be surprised if everyone at the game wants to use a plethora of game books. And that's honestly, that's the same way it is with D&D. I mean, you really don't need anything. Well, technically, you don't even need the DM's guide, the monster manual, or the player's handbook. But to effectively play the game, you need those 3 at least. But you're right. I mean, it's just like in D&D. I mean, everybody at the table is going to want to have a plethora of different books and options to pick from. Oh, so you can get, yeah, that's true. I guess they do have the SRD, and I would assume that that's just like the D&D SRD, free. Just look it up online. Yeah, I mean, and I admit, you know, that's another part of it that I don't. Maybe there's a part of me that just doesn't want to get into another heavy role playing game. Yeah, and that's well, you know, and you say that Pathfinder has so many supplements being pumped out. I, I think almost all games are like that. I mean, look at Mortborg. I keep bringing that one up. Gosh, I mean, you hit their website, and there are so many different books for Mortborg. There's, in fact, see if I can get this without dumping a whole bunch of stuff down on top of me. You got Pirate Borg. Now, while it's compatible with Mortborg, but it's not Morkborg. It takes place in a completely different land, different era, different time period, but it is a portion of Morkborg. But again, if all you wanted to play was the pirate version, this is all you need. But again, you go to their website and there's probably at this point 15, 16 different books that can go along with Pirate Borg. And I like that because a lot of that material is done by third-party creators, which is something I'm a major fan of. I appreciate the main company crafting supplement material. I like that Wizards of the Coast does main books for D&D, but I really appreciate the third-party content. It's, I don't know what the best way to explain it. Third-party content creators are wildly imaginative, whereas Wizards employees are doing this stuff under pressure of timelines, deadlines. Got to get this pumped out so that we can start working on the next one because we've got to make money and we've got to meet payroll. Third-party content creators, for the most part, are doing this because they love the game. They don't have necessarily those deadlines that they're locked into. They release the product when they can release it. Not many of them are doing it for the cash. Some do, admittingly, some do. But that's also why I want to go out of my way to really support that third party because, frankly, they need the money worse than Wizards does. Moreover, and this is what I was alluding to about 10 minutes ago, we do not have to have a Dungeon Master's Guide, a Player's Handbook, or a Monster Manual in order to effectively play Dungeons and Dragons, or really any role-playing game for that matter. You just need your imagination and something to create a small touch of randomness. Dice, you could use. Hell, you could flip a coin if you wanted to go 50-50. Actually, it's not quite 50% chance because there's always a small, 0.0005% chance that it'll land on its edge. Unlikely, but it's possible. Rivers RPG, he comments quite a bit on a lot of my videos, and he's pointed out in the past that you don't need to have books. And I agree 100%. I don't think you need to have them. They're good for like when you don't want to tax your brain, but because the material's already there. But yeah, I would have to agree that you don't absolutely have to have the books to do it. Something like this, you don't have to have a pirate. You don't have to have a Pirate Borg book to run this game, but at least flipping through the material gives you a familiarity of the concept so that you can be consistent from game to game. And then we've got Call of Cthulhu. Love that game. And we'll see if I can make this stand up here without an avalanche. Sure. Looks neat. So you haven't played D&D since high school, 31 now. Looking forward to a new D&D 5e revive. I have been purposely staying away from this new, whatever they're wanting to call it, 1D&D, D&D 6e, D&D 5.5, the playtest stuff. I've purposely been staying away from it because, for a very, very specific reason, the DM Friend of mine, and this is part of why I'm also doing a test because he's invited me to be on his live on Wednesday night. I'm going to check it out, but I'm hoping that it looks like this is all set up properly. So I appreciate you guys having the patience to stick with me while I did test all that stuff. But what, why I've been staying away specifically from the playtest material for the new D&D version, he and I met over the Marvel Superheroes game. I've got it hiding away somewhere in one of these behind me, but we played the more or less the beta test of it, and from it to the final version, completely different game. Combat doesn't work the same way. Skills have been completely changed, and I don't want to delve into playtest material only to get the official version when it releases and discover that 50% of it, 25% of it is completely different. Because in my mind, it's hard for me to, yes, Marvel multiverse, yes. Yeah, Bear the Gen X GM, him. I'll be doing a webcast or podcast, whatever, live cast, whatever this is actually called, with him on Wednesday night. But it's very difficult for my brain to separate out when I'm playing a game the different versions of it. Obviously, I mean, second edition Dungeons and Dragons or advanced Dungeons and Dragons to fifth edition, that's an easy enough separation. But to go from the playtest material to the official printed material with all the stuff that's been changed, there is a click that doesn't happen in my mind. And what I fear is that I'll be trying to run the game with players that are familiar with the playtest material. And if I'm also familiar with that playtest, then I'll be jumping into using the playtest stuff from memory as opposed to picking up the book and just reading straight through it and using the official rule set. So I'm kind of electing to not do any videos covering that playtest material. I would rather have the official book in hand before I really start pumping out videos for it. I don't know when they're going to do that. Are they going to continue playtesting? I mean, I don't even look too much up on the playtest material. I don't know if they have a timeline set up for it. Are they, is it still coming out in 2024? Is it being pushed to 2025? I know that they're wanting to have the current 5e stuff be compatible with it, and that's great. I just don't know. Like, for example, I know that we've got a Vecna adventure book coming out in January. That is supposed to be compatible with the new version. Well, okay, but how far into 2024 are we going to see this new version? I have no clue. They showed, yes, 2024. They showed pages from the new books on Friday. So I've missed that. I haven't seen that. Also, there's a massive historical volume they're releasing that I very much want. Haven't heard anything about this historical volume. Do you know what that's actually called? Because I can reach out to my contact at WotC and see. I'd like to know a little bit more about that one. Whoa, 500 pages? Holy crap. So is this going to be like more of a coffee table book or is it going to actually be like the DM's guide, the Monster Manual, Player's Handbook, plus more stuff just in one volume? Did they release that or announce that on their YouTube or D&D Beyond, something like that? And One D&D is a weird name, and it reminds me so much of like Xbox One or this new Mortal Kombat One. Um, I don't know. It's a little confusing. I mean, I know why Mortal Kombat One is called Mortal Kombat One, but why they shove the name One in front of everything as a, I don't know, final end all be all. What are they going to have? Friday the 13th One, Nightmare on Elm Street One. One D&D is a weird name. I bet they don't call it that. They also accidentally leaked a date of 5/21 on their panel, but removed it on their Facebook page. Not sure how accurate that is. Panel videos on their YouTube. Okay, I will definitely check that out a little bit later today. Just kind of curious to see exactly what they have in store. Yeah, no, it's kind of a sort of a reboot, and that's kind of the way that the Mortal Kombat One is. It's kind of a reboot. Historical context, yeah, yeah. It's definitely been a sordid history, to say the least. Yeah, I guess I did miss that live panel on Friday. Gosh, what it has been. It's been a crazy weekend, guys. Uh, of course, I got fiber internet installed, and have previous to that, I had HughesNet, which was a satellite internet. You talk about really bad speeds. It would take me, when I would do a video that's about 5 minutes in length, that would literally take me about 3.5 hours to upload. I did one that was, well, it's coming up tomorrow. The Stealing Stories for the Devil review. That one's about 11 minutes. That was about 6.5 gig. It took me less than 2 minutes to upload. That would have taken me on my old style internet. That would have taken me probably close to 9 hours to upload. It's crazy. You just found their talk about the historical volume for D&D. I'm definitely going to check that out a little bit later this afternoon. I would like to see. I don't know. One, I guess I have a little bit of a morbid curiosity to see, from Wizards' point of view, what they have altered the history of. How down and nitty gritty they have gotten with the history of it. If they're actually telling the full history or their history. That's what I'm curious about. Yeah, man. And since we got fiber, like I said, my son, he's always liked playing Call of Duty, but with, with satellite internet, you got two people, right? I mean, Call of Duty, you're trying to shoot this guy, but in order to effectively play Call of Duty with that type of internet with satellite, you've got a 1.5 second lag. So you have to anticipate where this guy is going to be in a second and a half and shoot there. It's impossible with folks being able to zigzag everywhere. But with this fiber, I mean, he's kicking ass, taking names. I mean, he's good. He's really good at it. Not a game I could play. I mean, I'm a mouse wiggler. I can't do handheld controllers. So I come in last every time I try to play. But of course, I grew up, like I said, like we were talking earlier. I grew up in the era of using mice and keyboards for games like Quake and Unreal. So 300 down. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, more of a daddy's girl. Role playing games, it's I like using my mind. And for me, role-playing games is just an incredibly easy way to do that. I had somebody make a comment in one of my videos last week that they'll go, and it was in the video that I did where I'm featuring the local game stores. It came out Friday, and he made the comment that he likes to support the local game store, and that's what the focus of the video was all about, uh, supporting your local game store. And he'll go in, he doesn't play the games, but he'll go in and he'll buy the book. And when he's got his, taking his child to the playground, he'll sit on the park bench and flip through the books and just imagine creating characters and imagine scenarios based on that imaginary game. And he goes, am I weird to do that? And I replied back, absolutely not. I mean, that to me is, there are a lot of role-playing games that I get to review that I really try hard to play with all my players. They either lose interest in it quick or have no interest at all, or they go full hog in and want to play it every single day. But when I'm flipping through those books and the pages within them, that's what I'm doing. I'm imagining scenarios. I'm imagining creating a character for that game. And because listen, as a forever DM, it's I say forever. I very rarely get the opportunity to actually play. But because of that, I find it difficult for me to be able to run a game without knowing the player side of it. So I force myself to create characters in my mind, and a lot of times on paper, just to see mechanically how that game is going to work. And in doing that, that gives me a feel for how the players would approach a task at hand. So no, it's not a crazy thing to take a book that you'd never have played and imagine yourself playing it. I do it all the time. And you're exactly right. Sometimes there's not enough time or willing participants to play in said games. Uh, the stealing stories for the devil. This is the second issue that I have. When I embark on playing a new game, I want to be able to know that game backwards and forwards. I don't like stumbling through it. And I think that's one of the issues that I have with Pathfinder is, in order for me to feel comfortable running that game, I would need to first play that game. And because I need to know how players approach the subject. There's nobody in my area that's running Pathfinder. So I don't think that I would feel comfortable trying to run a game of it without that knowledge. I don't want to do a disservice to the players. And with this stealing stories for the devil, it's a short game. I mean, when you guys see the review tomorrow, you'll see exactly what I mean. It's a small box, not much bigger than this, and there's 3 books. They're very short books, and it has a quick reference sheet that explains how to create your characters, the scenarios, what the cards in the game do, what the dice in the game do. And it took me maybe 3 hours sitting down reading through it to fully grasp exactly what's needed to be done. And after that, of course, I did imagine as a player how we would go through or how I as a player would go through and play the game. We didn't get a chance to play it last night, but next Saturday, I think I say that. A lot of my players have scattered for the Christmas holiday break. That's okay. I'm a little sad about that, but that's for another time. But point is, I want to be familiar with the game before I actually jump into running it. And as a player, I think that's a real easy way for me to familiarize myself with the possibilities. Have you guys heard of solo role playing? Yes. In fact, I don't know where those books are. I have got, oh, I do know where they are. They are on their way to a loyal fan of this channel. Did a sneaky little giveaway. They don't know it yet. But yeah, I got their address and am actually sending them 3 books. But it's another friend of mine, another YouTuber, had recommended it. And of course, now the name of the books have completely escaped me. But I did a review of them. It was, give me half a second here. Dragons and Flagons. Dragons and Flagons was the YouTuber that recommended the books to me. I highly recommend his channel too. I bought the Solo Adventures Toolbox from DM's Guild. Definitely thought about it. Haven't tried it that yet. I've never even heard of it. DM's Guild, but I've got some cash saved up on DM's Guild, so I may check that out. As mentioned at the top of this live stream, I really, really like third-party content creators, and DM's Guild, I think, has done wonders. Yeah, they take their unfair chunk of funds, but it gives those third-party content creators a good platform. And I've put a few things up there myself. I never really put any monetary value on them. It's always been just a pay what you want type thing. But I really like those. Hey now, Aaron Var. Yeah, live. I'm doing my tech test. A huge writing exercise. Yeah. It's balancing being a GM and a player is thankfully something that I don't do that often, mainly because I very rarely ever play as a player. I'm usually the one running the game. That said, we have gotten pretty creative when we play board games. Monopoly. We'll do a regular Monopoly game, but we throw a role-playing twist into it. Kind of weird, but it is fun. Let's see, 10 tour. Definitely want to try more in the solo game. Never done it, so any advice from someone not yet immersed? Pick up a book. Just read it from page 1 and go. I mean, that's really all you need. Some of them require dice. Some of them don't. Some require like a simple deck of cards. That's what I like so much about it. Some are as simple as like the Choose Your Own Adventure books from the 80s, 90s. I guess they're still doing them today. There's the solo adventure books can be that simple, or they can be as complex as full on character sheets with dice, pencil, paper, that kind of thing. 4 for 1, I think, is I think that was the name of the books that I got, and they were cool. I mean, it even had a random table where you could roll dice, and depending on the number that showed up, you would draw out the map of the dungeon that you were going through. And of course, you could collect loot. You could then return to town and sell that loot, buy better weapons, buy better gear, and go back into the dungeon and do it all over again. It's the solo role-playing games that I have played, the pen and paper, remind me a lot of the original Diablo game, where the dungeon you go into a dungeon and it changes every single time you re-enter it. You can go in, you gather what you want, provided you survive, go back to town, sell the loot, you go back in, and the layout is different. Or as you go down deeper, it's different. That's what single solo role-playing games, that's what they remind me of, is that original Diablo game. 4 Against Darkness, thank you. That was the one I was trying to remember. Yeah, I sent that one to a friend of the channel here. Well, guys, we've been going on for 50 minutes here, almost a full hour. I think that the tech test has gone good. I see a few things that I'd like to do a little bit different. I'm not overly impressed with the clarity. Like, I would like to be able to actually read what that says. I know what it says, but it looks fuzzy on my end. I'm using a Logitech 1080p webcam, and that could be that it's just a limitation of YouTube's interface. I'm not using anything like OBS. That's something that I'm looking into. I might upgrade to something like that, but I'm also wouldn't mind upgrading to like a good 4K type camera for streaming. Again, I'm going to be drilling through this wall to hardwire directly into the modem. So that should give me a little bit faster speed, but also too, I think it's going to increase the FPS and the overall clarity of the image itself. You guys think that the audio sounds good enough? I'm going to go back and watch some of the replay of this when I'm all said and done, just to see, because I think audio is an important part of it. And lighting, I definitely want to check the lighting. I'm not key impressed with my lighting in the room right now, and I'm in a very, very tiny little space. I would like to do something a little bit different. I don't anticipate doing live streams a lot, but actually it's been kind of fun. So who knows, that my attitude there might change. Especially when I start getting in and doing some live streams with other YouTubers. One thing that I really want to do, if I do continue doing the live stream stuff, I really want to have it so that you guys can join in. Being able to read through my the text here and reply to the chat, that's great. I love it. And I love that interaction. But man, oh man, I would love to have you guys, dial in here on the screen, and just have a two-way dialogue back and forth. I really like that. Years upon years ago, I was in radio, and always enjoyed having callers call in. In this day and age, having folks be able to chime in or video in, I love that idea. It's just really, really cool. Yeah, Sadis is asking if anybody's in the Winter Garden, Claremont area of Orlando, if y'all want to play D&D, hook up. I lived in Melbourne, Florida for a very long time. It's about an hour outside of Orlando. Beautiful place. That was, almost 20 years ago. A lot of good memories there. Spent a lot of time at Disney, and I think that's probably one of the biggest things I miss is going to Disney pretty much anytime. I did miss that. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got today. I wanted to do, like I said, just a tech test and see how things worked. I see some stuff that I want to improve, and I see some things that I like that I think will stay consistent as they are. So if anybody has any final questions, feel free to shout them out here in the chat. I'll do my best to answer them. But I think we're going to wrap up here in about the next 5 minutes or so. Thanks, Prof. Ryan. I enjoyed the banter back and forth and the comments, and it's a lot. I mean, I am having fun, and that alone is reason enough for me to continue to do it. And the drive was there for me to do this kind of live stuff all along. Just up to this point, I haven't had internet that's been good enough, decent enough to warrant or allow me to do this kind of thing. What I consider DMing for my community. So I work at a college. I run the print shop at the college. And in 2024, we do have a D&D. One of the guys in the library, one of the folks up in the library, has done an outstanding job of creating a D&D community for the students. And in 2024, that's my plan, is to get involved with that as well and help propel that to a bigger state. It's definitely something that I would welcome the community in my area to join in and play. Absolutely. Beard. Oh shit! I completely forgot about doing. Yeah, I meant to send that beard oil recipe to you. It's very simple, very very simple. You're in the Discord. Send me a private message, and I'll send that over to you this afternoon. Live gaming. So my current players, that when we play here at the house, they don't have any desire to be on live. Um, I would love to do something like that. That's something I know next to nothing about, mainly because the way I envision it, if I have 5 players, 6 players, I would want to have a camera on every individual player. Um, I just simply don't know how to set something like that up. I lack those technical skills. But now that could be a viable option, um, don't be surprised if I do some research on it and come up with something. Haven't really wanted to do an over the computer D&D game, but yeah, yeah. And I've never really been a big fan of over the computer DMing either. Um, but that said, I will say that my online ideas, now that I've got a good enough internet connection, my role playing ideas are flowing. And the type of play that I would be interested in doing would be a very bastardized version of Dungeons and Dragons, but an extremely rules light, more heavily focused on the role playing aspect. And it's something that, at least in how I'm imagining it, I've not seen any other live plays doing this. Um, I think that would be something that a lot of people would find fun to watch. I get, yeah. Tian Tori says that I had to come to terms with online gaming only because D&D is next to nil in my area. Actually, greatly struggling to find players. I get that completely. Um, I fortunately don't have that issue, but I certainly understand where, especially in the small towns, where you're not going to have a good group of people to pull from in order to play. So online is the next viable option. Um, for me, and this could be a video all unto itself, I've, well, for technical reason, have shied away from doing D&D online. Um, Now it is more viable, but I also find it too, doing it online is kind of, for me, is a little distracting. I am a very theatric person when it comes to actually playing the game. And in doing that, I'm up and standing, I'm animated, and I'm, doing the voices. I'm not just sitting there, at the table and just going monotone through the whole thing. And, so your adventure or your party is now leaving the inn and they're going down the road to find the dragon that is in blah, blah, blah. I'm not like that. I'm, trying to be the innkeeper. I'm trying to be the NPCs. I'm up and walking around, and I actually will, if an NPC wants to tell, for example, Tiantori something that only Tiantori is going to hear, I'll pull them aside and we'll go in a completely different room and I'll let them know exactly what they heard. It's up to them if they want to share the information with the rest of the party. And yes, I get that you could still do that online just by sending a direct message to the player, but there's part of the excitement and fun that gets lost a little bit in that translation. So that's one of the reasons I've just never been a major fan of online play. Yeah. I'm a big fan of in-person games, and I'm excited too for what's to come. I think it's going to be fun. 2024 is going to be a big year for the channel. We're creeping close to 10,000 subscribers. Got a couple of thousand to go, but I think it's going to happen. And I'm having fun, guys. I mean, that's the bottom line. I don't look at doing this channel as a chore. I don't look at it as what kind of content am I going to come up with today? It's not like that. I can't stop the ideas coming out at this point. It's like a locomotive that's just going full steam ahead. And I'm having fun with the channel. I'm having fun talking to you guys in the comments, and I'm having fun interacting with other YouTubers and that are also, doing the same thing that I'm doing. And I think all of that combined, along with the passion and love that I have of games, there's no slowing this train down. It is. I mean, the passion. Sata72 says, "I love the passion and think that's what D&D is all about." And that's the other important thing too. When I say use the term Dungeons and Dragons or D&D, I'm not specifically referring to Dungeons and Dragons, the Wizards of the Coast or the old TSR product. I'm referring to role-playing games in general. It's its own genre. Like if I were to say horror movies, I love horror movies, all horror movies. That's your Saw movies, your Friday the 13th movies, your Nightmare on Elm Street movies, your Phantasm, your Hellraiser, your Death Day, Final Destination. I mean, I love all the horror movies. Those are all horror movies. D&D, to me, encompasses all role-playing games. It's just a generic term. It has become a generic term, like Kleenex. Kleenex is a specific brand, but it's kind of a term of, it's become a generic term of tissue paper. D&D is that same way for me. So when I ask my players, hey, y'all want to play some D&D tonight? I'm not necessarily meaning actual Dungeons and Dragons. It could be Stealing Stories for the Devil. It could be Morkborg. It could be, it could be Pathfinder. I mean, if I did get into that, could be Rifts. It could be 40K even. And that's strictly miniatures, not necessarily role-playing, but it's miniatures battles. Necromunda, same thing. Passion is contagious, and it's even more contagious when you're having fun doing it. And that's where I'm at. I'm having fun. That's really all I can say about it. I'm having fun doing it. And as long as I continue to have that fun, like I said, there's no stopping this train. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate the words of wisdom and the advice. And how about until next our paths cross, may you have a grand adventure that is free of technical hiccups. Have a good one, guys. Now I don't know how to end the stream. Oh, this button here that says end stream. Take care.